Okay, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the listing presentation. Last week's class, we talked about how to create a CMA, and you're going to use that CMA for the listing presentation that you're going to go to. And we're going to discuss that. So the first thing we're going to do is what we're going to learn. We're going to learn preparation, how to prepare for your listing presentation. We're going to talk about getting to know the seller and the seller's needs. And then we're going to create the listing presentation and include the CMA. We're going to talk about the listing appointment flow, how it should go, how you should start, and all that. And so before your listing appointment, what you want to do is learn everything you can learn about the potential client, the property, and the neighborhood. Right? You want to be as educated as possible about that. Examples are when they bought the property, how much they bought the property for, was it a rental? And you can look all this up in the MLS. Did they ever rent it to someone before? Or have they lived in it the whole time? Things like that. And the goal is to position yourself as the best possible person to help this person sell their home, right? Because you know everything about the property, you know everything about the neighborhood. Because why would someone list with an agent that doesn't even know the neighborhood? Right. So you're not just selling the home, you're selling the neighborhood as well and the city. So for that to happen, you'll need to know what the seller's motivations are. So find out why they're selling. Do they have to sell right away? Like a time frame when they have to move by, what the reason is, where they're going to move to. And this is all going to help you because they might need a buyer's agent wherever they're moving to, right? And if they're moving to like another county or another state, you can refer them to an agent and get a referral fee. So this all helps you. It helps them too because it's somebody that you're recommending. Demonstrate deep knowledge of the market, property type, and the area. So everything helps. All the information you're going to gather, all the intel you're going to gather is going to help you better prepare for the listing appointment. So get to know the prospect and the property. So we need to know the needs and motivations of the seller. We have somebody else coming. I'll pause here until she comes in.
Honey.
Good morning. Because we know how easy it is to just find a property online, for buyers and list the property. Everybody puts the property online. So what are you going to do this differently? So according to the National Association of Realtors, 21% of sellers, they want an agent to help them market their property. They hire someone because of their marketing abilities. 20% want help selling their home within a time frame. So 20% care about the time frame, right? 35% want an agent with a good reputation, and that's what's important to them. Hey, I don't care about timing. Oh, of course you care about timing, right? Or marketing, but this agent's reputation is what's going to do it for me. Like a Mike Dunn. Someone's going to hire him because of his name. Everybody knows who he is, right? And 85% of sellers said they want a real estate agent to provide them a wide range of services, a broad range of services, whether it's maybe they want to sell their house, but they also want to buy a house. Maybe they want to sell their house. Maybe they want to rent a property afterwards for a year or two. Maybe they want to sell this house and buy an investment property, right? So someone that knows a broad range of services. So questions you want to ask during the initial phone call. So let's say you marketed, you sent a bunch of flyers out, you walk the neighborhood, whatever it is, and somebody called you up and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. I live at 123 Main Street. What do we do next? What happens next?" So there's some questions. How long have you owned the property for? And you can always look this up, but since you have them on the phone, just ask them. Right? They don't want to tell you again. You can look it up. But how long have you owned the property for? Why are you selling? So these are all questions that we talked about. Is there a date by which you need to be out of the home by? Or if they say that they have to move to Arizona for whatever, when do you have to be in Arizona? Did you already buy your replacement property? Are you looking? Are you already looking? Things like that, right? So we can incorporate other questions into that. Have you renovated or remodeled your home? Made any repairs or improvements? This is all important because these are all things that we're going to add to the MLS listing at some point that adds value to the property. So this is good because they might not be thinking about that. And this actually gives them time to look up receipts and things like that before you meet with them in person. So bringing this up helps. Is anyone else on title? This is important because when you meet with them, you want to make sure that all the signers are present. Anyone that can sign on behalf of selling the listing is present to sign the listing agreement. And again, one thing I didn't add here was, what's your name? That should be in here. So
Legal name. Right?
yeah. So you want to make sure that the person you're talking to is the actual owner of the property, right? Or the person that you're going to meet with is the actual owner of the property. So why do I have to say that? Why do I have to make that clear? Isn't it obvious? No, it's not obvious, because maybe someone's calling on behalf of their mom, right? Hey, I'm calling because, we're thinking of selling. My mom owns the property and she's ready, she wants to retire and so forth, right? So just because they're calling doesn't mean they're the owner of the property. So that's why it's important to make sure you know who's calling, you know who the owners of the property are. Can you tell me what makes your home special? I raised my kids here. It's such a great place, and that's why I want $1 million more for my house than everybody else's, because it's just great. That's not a good answer. What makes your home special? We have a bigger lot than most houses in this neighborhood. Or we have an entertainer's kitchen. We upgraded everything in the kitchen. This is for like the person that loves to cook and entertain. Or we have 4 fireplaces in the house. We added additional ones because we just love fireplaces. I don't know, whatever it is, what makes it special? Who do you think would be the ideal buyer for your home? And this is not, this could sound a little discriminatory, but it's not. You want to know who, like, how to market the property, right? So do you think this is like for a family type home? Do you think this is for like for for a single person, because maybe it's a condo, 1-bedroom condo, and it's in a community where there's no kid amenity type things. So you want to know how to cater towards those buyers within your advertising without saying, hey, this is for the single person or the family person, because you can't advertise that. That's illegal, right? But gives you a better idea of what to expect. What's important to you about the agent you use to sell your home? Is it availability? Is it they have to know the neighborhood? Is it their office has to be close to my house? What's important to them? Everything. Everyone's going to say something different. Have you worked with a listing agent in the past, and what was your experience? Is there anything that you'd like done differently by your next agent? So this helps you understand, have they worked with an agent before? If they bought the house, they probably did work with an agent. And were you happy with their service? Is there anything that you weren't happy about? Like, is there something that could they have communicated better? They're going to tell you, right? And there could be a number of reasons why they didn't call the agent that sold them the property. It could be because they didn't have a good experience. Well, you want to know why, because you don't want to make the same mistake. Another reason could be the agent's out of the business now. So we like them, but they're out of the business. Okay, so now it wasn't anything bad that they did. Or it could be the agent hasn't followed up. I haven't heard from them since I bought the house. So this helps you better understand that you have to make sure to follow up with your past clients, not just your farm area, but past clients. Reach out to them a few times a year. Hey, how's it going? Or hey, here's the property value in your neighborhood now. Whatever it is, but reach out to them. So don't lose track of that. It'll make you think twice, right? Any questions on this? Okay. You're going to create your listing presentation and your CMA. So last week we talked about creating the CMA. So now you have that. You have your comps, you have your analysis, you have your suggested list price range, average price per square foot, average days on market for that particular neighborhood. So now that you have that, you're also going to include, let me get out of this for a second. On my CD desk, there is a listing presentation that you can download and customize and use as a listing presentation that talks about you, that talks about the company, talks about what you're gonna do to market the property, and it looks something like this. So this is gonna be your actual listing presentation, unless you have your own or you download some, you purchase one somewhere and customize it. But this is a PowerPoint presentation that you can print out, or you can do the presentation on your computer and just go over, list your home with confidence with Coldwell Banker, one of the biggest names in real estate, proven success, proven powerful personal. Look at our reach. Look at how many countries we're in. This is pretty impressive, right? Over 100,000 agents in over 40 countries and territories. So this just adds to who Coldwell Banker is, who you're going to be working with, who you're hiring. We pay for professional photography of your home. This is how we market your property, our 360. We do print advertising, email marketing. We make a video, online social media, like all these things, right? So this is pretty impressive. This is part of your marketing plan you're going to discuss with them. But this is what you're going to put together. You're going to personalize it. Put your picture, contact information on it, and then even on the first page, you can put the property address, subject property address, to make them even more personal. So you just go through this. So this is going to be the presentation you're going to give to them. This is like reading material. This is who we are. This is what we're going to do, right? And this is going to be separate from your CMA report. Before, we would say, I would say, include this, your CMA, into this report here. That's too much to read. That's way too much to read. You want that report separate because it's exactly this is what they want. They don't want all this. They want to know about all this. They want to know who they're working with, right? But the important thing to them is, how much is my house worth, right? And show me the evidence. So, you can cherry pick from this, use the pages that you want to use, maybe not make it as long. This is a pretty long presentation. Let's see, there's 31 pages. And I don't know if you want to use all that, but like here, it also explains timing and pricing. So the higher you price it, the longer it takes to sell. The lower you price it, the faster it sells. And this is kind of a chart that shows that. But I want to show you guys this just to know that you want to come in with something, right? That brags about the company, your marketing plan, what your plan is about yourself. You can include like an agent resume or something about yourself here. The greatest agent in the world. I sell properties, I list properties, I do everything, right? And start listing all the things that you do. I work with buyers, sellers, investors, renters, landlords, everything. Mm-hmm. So the more you put into this, the better you look. So anyway, I recommend you go to my CD Desk and download this, personalize it, add pages, delete pages, do whatever you want to do, but just do something with it because this is impressive. Now, let's go back. Okay. So here's some key points, including your listing presentation, comparative market analysis, and compare apples to apples. We talked about finding comparable properties, right? Same neighborhood. If you have to go outside the neighborhood, make sure that the properties are similar. Pricing strategy. This is a big one for setting better expectations. So be careful how you price it. Maybe you want to range, but ultimately you want to ask them if they have an idea of what they'd like to list it for, or how much they expect to get out of it when they sell it, right? Some will have an idea. Some are going to say, that's why I called you. I don't know. But I guarantee you that a lot of these homeowners are getting postcards in the mail or flyers on their doorstep with market updates that show how much homes are selling for. Mm-hmm. So make sure it includes your marketing plan and give examples and stories of things that you've done. If you don't have any examples, you can, I guess, go into your social media. You advertise on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on all these different platforms. You have a website, you have a company website. Make sure you let them know that when you enter the listing into the MLS, it's going to go into every real estate website, whether it's, whatever competitor that's coming in to interview after you. Oh, you're going to interview a Redfin agent? Guess what? When I upload your listing to the MLS, it's going to go into Redfin's website. It's going to go into Remax's website. It's going to go into everybody's website. LA Times, Orange County Register, New York Times, everybody that shows real estate that has an IDX fee is going to see your property. So the more you can talk about this, the better it sounds, because I don't know if everyone goes in there telling them everywhere their listing's going to be placed. I'm going to put up a for sale sign. I'm going to do open houses for you. I'm going to hand out just listed flyers or mail them out to your neighborhood. I'm going to send out an email to my office to announce the listing. I'm going to send an email to thousands of realtors in Orange County to promote the listing. I'm going to do all these things, a broker's preview. So make sure that you include all these things in your marketing plan, right? Summary of the process: the seller should be able to clearly understand the steps you'll take and help to achieve their goal of selling their property. So make it sound great, and then follow through with it. Don't just say you're going to do it. Do it. Another thing that I think people fail to mention is updates. Updating the seller. Hey, Mr. Mrs. Seller, not only am I going to do all these things for you, but I'm going to give you a weekly update of everything that's going on, from visits, showings to the property, offers, phone calls, how many people attended the open house. If there's a new property that came on the market in your neighborhood that's going to affect you because it's competition. If something went into escrow, how many days it took to go into escrow. If something recently closed, so that you know what the new, I guess, market price is, because that might change it, right? And we might have to adjust the price at some point. So I'm going to update you on all these things. And again, this is not something that most agents do. So even after bringing this up, agents still don't want to do it. They think it's a lot of work, but you know what? I would want to know. You could bring a net sheet with you, and the net sheet tells them how much they're going to walk away with after the sale of the property, after they pay back the loan, the mortgage on the property, and commissions and title and all the fees, right? This is how much they're going to walk away with. So you can bring a net sheet, and what you can do with it, I think we talked about this on another slide. Lawyer's Agent app on your phone. Yeah, you could just do up a net sheet really quick. All you have to do is enter a few numbers, and then it tells you how much the seller's going to net, and you can include that into the presentation as well.
So to put together a net sheet, I need to talk to the seller and ask their outstanding.
This is one of the questions you can ask at the beginning on the phone call. I should add that to the list. How much do you owe on your loan right now? Yeah. And some of them might know, some of them might not. They have to check. You know, you could have an email you or call you back. Mm-hmm. And this is just to add to your presentation. So this is a good thing to have on your presentation as well. You can add that to the CMA. Any questions on this?
On the pricing strategy, like the seller is pretty stubborn at, like, for example, they want $1 million a minimum, but then after CMA conducted, it's like 900,000 is the maximum that they can get. Would you be upfront with it, or like do I need to, like, okay, let's list it 1 million and then we can adjust it later?
Yeah, you can do that, but you have to explain to them what might happen.
Yeah, like
it might sit on the market. Well, you never know. Someone might show up and want to pay money.
Yeah,
that might happen. Maybe they fall in love with the house. Maybe they fall in love with the location or something about that property. Maybe they grew up in that house when they were little, and this means a lot to them. Maybe anything can happen.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you can tell. Just let them know, so their expectations or where they need to be, right, as far as timing. It might sit on the market for a while, but you have to agree that if after 2 weeks we don't get any showings, we don't get any offers, that we reduce the price, because the longer it sits on the market, the more people wonder what's wrong with it.
Right.
Why is it still on the market? Right. So what do you bring to the listing appointment? Bring a laptop or tablet to do your digital listing presentation, if that's how you're going to do it. But bring it anyway, in case you have to do any MLS searches to show them any additional properties on the MLS. Hard copy of the listing presentation and CMA. So you want to bring one for yourself as well. So that way, when you're going through it, you can tell them, go to the next page, and you're not hovering over their shoulder and say, oh yeah, look right there. A suggested list price or range. You don't want to say it, just already have something. It doesn't have to be written or in a presentation. You can have it separate just so you remember what the price is, but have something already with you. bring net sheets. So you could bring a couple of different net sheets based on different prices. This is how much you're gonna net if we list it, if we sell it for this is how much you'll make if we, and then also include the commissions. So after you pay me 3%, and you possibly gonna pay the other agent, let's say 2%. And this is based on all that information. And then, but if you don't have to pay commission to the buyer's agent, let's say they pay their own agent, then this is what you're gonna bring home. Because sometimes there's buyers that pay their agents. It's rare, but sometimes they still do. And I don't know if you want to say that to them, you know, hey, sometimes buyers pay their own agents. It's because right now it's common that sellers pay for their buyer's agent's commission.
Right.
Negotiated into the contract, and some buyers will leave and look for another property where the seller's willing to pay commission. I don't know what, I mean, I guess that could be a deal breaker, but if you love the house, you should pay for it, right? And Lawyer's Agent One app, that's where you can find a net sheet, create one. Make sure you have a calculator, pocket calculator, or just the one on your phone in case you need to calculate numbers, commissions, things like that. Bring a residential listing agreement with you, because hopefully you want them to sign it there. Bring some pastries or something with you, just to, you know, or small gift, something, right? Maybe some coffee or something. And then bring your listening ears. This this is a good time to bring something like this up. So when you might prepare a certain way and think that listing presentation is going to go a certain way. I'm going to knock on the door, they're going to open it, we're going to introductions are going to be made, we're going to walk into the house, we're going to sit at the dining table. I'm going to tell them everything that I found as far as comparables and what I think their homes are worth. We're going to take a tour, we're going to do all these things, and what I'm going to do for them, what my services are and what I charge, and then they're going to sign the listing agreement. That's how it's going to go down. Guess what? It doesn't always happen that way. You might plan it that way. You might walk in, person introduces themselves, they say, "Oh, have a seat," and let me show you my house, and they, "Oh, look at these are my grandkids," and, "Oh, these are my kids right here," and, "Oh, this is my husband when he was in World War II," and that's a great picture of him, and then, you know what? Listen to it. You know, people like to be heard. They like to talk. And it also builds rapport with them, right? It builds trust. It builds like a relationship. Like, hey, this person now knows more about me because they listened, right? So now, because you know more about them, know more about their lives, it becomes a little more personal, right? And you can ask questions, and you can kind of get into their lives that way. And it might come down to a point where, hey, I like you. How much can we sell it for? You don't even have to do the presentation. I think we should list it at this price, and we could probably get this for it. Okay, where do I sign? Sometimes it's that easy.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not always going to be that easy. But you have to be prepared that sometimes you're not going to get to show your presentation or show how smart you are. Right? And sometimes I think we do that for ourselves. Let me show this person how smart I am, everything that I did and all this stuff. And not everybody wants that. So be ready to be the smart person and present the smart information that you provided, that you did research on, but also be ready to just have a conversation, get to know somebody on a personal level, and be ready to sign the listing agreement, right? Because they're trusting you. This is the biggest investment or asset that they own, and they're trusting you with it. Why would they trust you with it, right? If you're going to show up and be a jerk and say, "I'm the best," and you have to listen to what I tell you to do, and you need to sign here, and this is how much you can list it for, it's like, why would I list with somebody like that? There are people like that out there. So listening ears, they'll do wonders. Touring the home. So a common mistake that many agents make is going straight to the tour of the property. But sometimes, like I would say before, start in the living room, comfortable, sit down, coffee table. But most of the agents have told me the dining table is the best place because there's more room, and that makes sense. More room to set up, and you're sitting either across or next to them at the dining table, and it's just and the lighting is great. So that's a better setting. So set your stuff up at the dinner table and talk a little bit, right? And then, by the way, can you give me a tour of your home? Because you can't give them a listing price to just a listing price without looking at the property. How can you say my home is worth this much if you haven't even seen it? You just walked in the door. So before you do any of that, giving them, showing the comparable properties, you can tell them, hey, look, this is who I am, this is how long I've been in business for, and talk, chit chat a little bit, and then say, by the way, can you give me a tour of the property? And some people like to start upstairs and work your way down. I guess it doesn't matter. Just get a tour of the property and take notes when you're walking around. Granite countertops, okay. Wood flooring. What type of wood is this? Oh, okay, this type of wood. Okay, take notes of this because it's important, right? They're seeing that you're paying attention. Not only that you're paying attention, but you're going to need all this information when you enter it into the MLS. Oh, is this a third bathroom? No, there's a fourth one. Oh, there's four bathrooms. Okay. The MLS, the tax record said there was only three, but okay, there's four. Okay, now I know that, right? So now you're going through the house, you're looking at the property, you're looking at the condition of the property, you're looking to see if there's any upgrades. You notice something and you say, hey, is that a new roof? Oh yeah, when did you install it? Oh, we had it put in 5 or 6 years ago. Okay, so now 5 or 6 year old roof. Okay, cool. If you notice like there's a little line in the wall that looks like there was an addition. Hey, is this an addition? Did you guys add additional square footage? It looks like, oh yeah, good eye. I'm glad that you noticed that. Yeah, we added this much. Oh, is it permitted? Do you have permits for? Oh yeah, we have permits for it. Okay, cool. These are all things that are going to help you, right? Because you'd hate to be doing the open house and a neighbor comes in. Oh, I see that they added to this because this model, I have the same model, but we don't have the additional square footage. And you're just like, oh, damn, I didn't know that. Oh, I wish I knew that. Oh, did they get permits? I want to do that to my house too. It's like, I don't know if they got permits for that. So you don't want surprises, right? So ask questions if you notice something, write it down. It helps you.
What if they didn't get permits? And then, you're now touring the home.
If they didn't get permits to add square footage, you can't add that square footage into the listing.
Oh,
So if it's an original 1,500 square foot home and they added 500 square feet without permits, then you have to market it as a 1,500 square foot home. And then you can write in, there's an additional unpermitted 500 square feet. I would put that, I don't even know if I want to put that in the description.
Yeah.
I would put that in the agent remarks or something.
Mhm.
Someone might want to buy it because of that, right? And they don't care if it's permitted or not. Maybe they have a big family and,
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I'm new for here all kinds of style for old house.
Mhm.
So because you have experience, you can tell that, oh, this is original decoration or this is the original roof.
Yeah.
But for me, I cannot tell certain time.
So you can ask them.
Yeah, because I understand, but I couldn't. I mean, where I can get some experience to learn a little bit. Or
So something that you can
Yeah.
do, that's a very good question. Something you could do, let's say this seller is from my farm area where I market, right?
Uh-huh.
I market here in this neighborhood, and this person called me telling me they want to sell their house. Well, during my marketing efforts, I noticed that there's open houses, there's broker previews. I'm gonna visit those broker previews and open houses.
Mm.
Or if there's a listing, they're not gonna have any open houses. I'm gonna preview that property. I want to know what the homes look like here because I've seen them from the outside. I'm marketing to them. I know who owns them, but I've never been in the homes. So it's a good opportunity for you to preview the homes. If there's a listing, call the agent and say, hey, I'd like to see, or whatever the showing instructions are, I'd like to see the property on this day at this time. And they're not going to say, oh, do you have a client? No, they're going to say, okay, yeah, go ahead. I have other agents showing earlier that day, but that's a good time. Go ahead. So then you're going to open the property with your lockbox because you have the lockbox e-key, right? You're going to go on the property, you're going to look around, you're going to look at maybe you're going to go into 5 different houses at some point, and you're going to notice the difference between each one of them.
Yeah.
You're going to notice, oh, this looks like more original because the other ones look newer and had newer cabinets. So must be what the original cabinets look like, right? And then you see the models, the floor plans. And if you are marketing or farming a particular area, you also should have the floor plans for all all the models. And you can get that at insidetrack.com. So when you go to insidetrack.com, you can subscribe to it and download all the floor plans for that particular tract that you're forming. And when you go into the property, it should be exactly like when you look at it, okay, the bedroom's over here, the kitchen's over there. When you walk in, you should already know where everything is. If something's a little bit different, you're gonna know, hey, this is an addition. Or hey, there's a bathroom here, but the original floor plan doesn't show a bathroom. They added a bathroom downstairs, but they moved it. So that's how you're gonna know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you took a tour. You're gonna go back to I keep saying coffee table, to the dining table, and you're gonna discuss the CMA. You're gonna discuss, hey, these are the properties that I found that are closest to your property that you recently sold. And you're gonna explain to them how many days they were on the market for, what the average days on market is for them, what the average sale price is. You're also gonna have in your CMA a printout of all the photos that were in the MLS for each one of those listings. So they can compare those listings, those properties to their property and say, hey, look at this one's fully upgraded, yours is not. Or yours is fully upgraded, this one's all original, as you can see in the pictures. That's why they only got this much. Because they're gonna ask you, why did this one only sell for this much? Why did this one sell for much more? You can tell a lot by looking at the pictures, right? Also, you wanna have properties that are pending and properties that are still active on the market. Why do you wanna have that? That doesn't tell me how much I can sell my house for. That just tells me what they're listed for. Well, guess what? Remember I told you last week that words talk but numbers scream. The numbers telling me this house is priced this much, but it's been sitting on the market for 60 days. What does that tell me? It's overpriced. Right? Or this one just came on the market in 3 days, but it's priced a lot lower than the other one. That tells me, hey, this is probably gonna get an offer soon. Or what's an escrow? This one is an escrow. It was on the market for 6 days. Look at the price. This one's an escrow, but it was on the market for 60 days, and look at the price. And we can look at the history of it, where it was originally priced at, and how many price reductions that it had. So these things tell a story, and it helps your seller understand how to price the property, right? How to position the property in the market. And then you're going to discuss your marketing plan. Say, look, this is what the properties are. These are the properties that are on the market. So you're going to go through the numbers, right? And you can ask them, what do you think that your property should be listed at? Looking at this information, or did you already have a number? Or you can even ask them before you show them the properties. Again, you're going to come up with your own way of sitting down and explaining this to them, and when to ask what. Maybe you ask them before, hey, do you have a number as to how much you want to list it for? Oh yeah, we want to list it for this much. Okay, I'm glad that you have a number. Now let's look at the evidence as to what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And after looking at this, do you still think that we should list your property for the number you gave me? Oh no, I think we should list it for less. Or I think after looking at it, wow, I think we can get more for it. I'm glad you think that way, because I think the same thing, right? So you agree that this is a good price? Yes. Okay, cool, great. Now let me tell you what I'm going to do to get you that price. I'm going to market your property. I'm going to do this, and that, and that's where you're going to come up with your marketing plan, right? Tell them what you're going to do. And you don't pay me until I close this property. So I'm doing all this work for free until it closes. So guess what? I mean, you get a deal, right? I'm marketing your property. I'm marketing on social media, on websites, on all over the internet, print marketing. I'm advertising to all these agents. I'm putting the for sale sign up. I'm doing open houses. I'm doing all these things, right? But you're going to go down the list of everything you're going to do. And then you're going to say, now here's the listing agreement. When would you like to go on the market? We need at least a week to prepare. If you're not ready, if you're ready. If you're not ready, let me know when you're going to be ready, so I can put the appropriate date on the listing contract.
Quick question.
Yes.
So we do most of the marketing, but the staging we usually have seller charge for, pay for that.
Yeah, you can recommend staging, and you can say, if you want to do staging, you'd have to how can you bring this up? We find that homes that are staged, if they're still living there though, It might be a little
Okay,
difficult to get
okay.
staging in there. If it's vacant, then yes, but if they're still living there, I would just start recommending, hey, take down any pictures, family pictures, declutter some of the areas, take down all the magnets on the refrigerator, things like that. Countertops, keep them clean. We want people to come in and visualize their families here, not your family, because when they see pictures of your family, they can't see their family here, right? So depersonalize the place when we go live. But also you're telling them everything you're gonna do for them as far as marketing to sell their home, so that when you do bring up the listing agreement and then your 3%, they can't say, well, what are you gonna do for me for that 3%? You've already told them, right? I think some people make the mistake of bringing up the listing contract first, and then the seller says, that's a lot of money. Why should I pay you 3%? Right? And then now you have to explain to them.
Right.
But I think it's important to let them know everything that they're gonna get from you, all the services you're gonna get. And then pull up the listing agreement and say, here's the listing agreement, it's gonna be from this date to this date. This is what we're gonna list it at, this is the price you said, and then this is the commission that I'm charging. And then explain to them that the buyers that submit an offer, they're gonna negotiate that you also paid their buyer's commission. And it's all negotiable, because before what would happen, you can explain to them, is that the seller would always have to pay the listing agent and the buyer's agent commission. That was in the contract. That's not the case anymore. Now you're only responsible for paying my commission, and the buyer's responsible for paying their commission, but they do negotiate that into the contract. And right now, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, most sellers are paying that commission. Now, you don't have to pay them a full 3%, you can negotiate it and pay a portion of it and have the buyer pay the other portion of it. But anyway, this is what I charge 3%. And then at that point, they're not gonna say, well, that's a lot of money. Wait, I just told you everything I'm gonna do for you.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna sit on my butt all day and not do anything. I'm doing all these things. And I'm paying for the pictures, that's another thing, professional photography, professional flyers, property flyers, things like that. And I'm not getting paid for anything. So if it doesn't sell, I just lost all that money. So you're investing in me, but I'm also investing in you.
Right.
So you get them to sign the listing agreement. Now let's see where we're at here. Yes,
So if the market, the price is going up, we discuss, we then say about the staging, and then we are confident, think you do this addition, and then absolutely can bring the high price or attract more clients. But
you can't tell them that it's absolutely gonna bring a higher price. You can tell them that there's statistics show, which they do, and you can find this online somewhere, that homes that are staged sell for a percentage number higher than homes that are not staged. So if you find that, and there's a lot of information online that you can find. But you can even ask ChatGPT, what percentage higher do homes sell that are staged versus homes that are not staged? And it'll tell you, and you can use that for your presentation. If the property's vacant and they want it sold faster, they sell faster and for a higher price. And then they're gonna ask you, who pays for that? I said, well, you pay for it.
because sometimes they just think, I just want to sell as it, but I still want the market price.
Yeah.
That is a really common.
If prices are going up though, you don't have a problem, right? You're gonna have enough buyers for it.
That's my point. When the market slow down.
Yeah.
And also maybe going down a little bit, in that moment.
That's when you have to
Try
stage to
to-
make it look better than other properties. Because Mr. and Mrs. Seller, right now, the market's a little slow. And you wanna make your house present it in the best possible way, and staging it is the best thing you can do for it, because what makes your house stand out from the house across the street? That one's vacant, or it has the owner's furniture, which is not that great. But if you stage it and to let people visualize what it could look like, then you're more likely to get offers. Right?
Yeah.
Thank
you. Yeah. So the flow, we talked about this before, introductions, hi, and we talked on the phone, here's, nice to meet you in person. Here's some cookies. Hopefully you like cookies, right? Everybody likes cookies. Sit down and discuss and review goals, needs, wants of the seller. And then when we spoke on the phone, you mentioned this was important to you. You can talk about something, and it shows that you were listening, you took notes, right? Ask for a guy to tour the property. Reconvene back at the meeting spot. I'm really excited to expose your amazing home to the market, to the public, right? And generate a solid pool of buyers. You don't have to say it like this, but find a way in your own words to say this, right? You're not a robot, so I don't expect you guys to like there's some people that just go through scripts and they can't shake that. Their whole life is a script. Just don't be that person. So let's see. Let me show you how we do that with a mixture of marketing, paid advertising, and leveraging our market share here in Irvine. Now it's time to head to the next step of the presentation. And what is that? And we talked about this. I kind of got ahead of myself. Asked them if they have an idea of what they want to sell for or list for. If agreeable, cover paperwork and skip the market analysis and ask for a signature. Because I don't need to show you the evidence as to how much we think they can sell for it. You already know the price. Let's do it. Let's go for it. If they want to see it, show it to them. If their list price is not realistic or they don't have one in mind, like they just say, I don't know, that's why I called you. I don't know how much it's worth. Then you're going to present the CMA, discuss the comparables, and then highlight any upgrades or lack of upgrades, right, of the subject property or the comparable properties. Discuss average sales price, average price per square foot, average days on market, things like that, like we talked about earlier. And then this should help bring them to an agreeable listing price. Present your marketing, your advertising strategy. We talked about all that. Discuss listing terms and ask for a signature. And we talked about listing terms on the listing agreement. So the listing period is from this date to this date. This is what we're going to list it for, this price. These are the terms. This is how much you're going to pay me. And sign here. And I'll show you guys a sample of the listing agreement. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Let's see, sometimes the flow, we talked about this, might take a life of its own. That might take on a life of its own. So like I said, you might go in thinking this is how it's going to go down. First, we're going to do this, then this, then this. But it doesn't always happen that way. Okay. So remember, sometimes people just want you to listen and build that relationship, build that rapport, and they want to build that trust. Sometimes they'll look at you and just say, I don't think I can trust this person. So you want to make sure to talk to them because I'm sure when somebody meets me for the first time, they're like, I don't think I can trust this person. But when they get to know me, they talk to me, I'm a good person. I mean, at least I think I'm a good person, right? And so maybe they're comfortable, I make them feel comfortable and they want to work with me.
Yeah.
So you have to change their mind, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. Especially a hardbound book like this guy right here. You should be able to adjust on the fly. So if the listing presentation change course with it, bring it back at some point. Let's see, the seller might not need all the information that you're ready to present, right? They might not need all that stuff. Some are going to want to know, what do you charge? They might go straight to it. Hey, how much do you charge? Some are going to say, how much can you sell my house for? Some are going to say, what's your marketing plan? And you guys are not going to believe this, but some agents don't bring a marketing plan with them. You should have a marketing plan because you don't want to be sitting there, well, I'm going to put it in the MLS. I'm going to put up a for sale sign and I'm going to do open houses. And then you don't want to do that. You want to have, oh, I'm glad you asked. Here's my marketing plan.
Yeah.
Here's a bullet point of everything I'm going to do for you. Right? Do you have any buyers for my house? Sometimes they ask that straightforward. Hey, because some agents advertise, I have a buyer for your house. And then when you show up and they ask you, hey, you said on your flyer you had a buyer for my house. Do you have any buyers? No, I lied. I don't have buyers for your house. But no, you don't want to say that. But you want to say, I don't have any buyers for your particular house. That's why we're going to market the property to bring buyers. And then how long is it going to take to sell my house? Well, it depends on how we price it. Okay, let's move on here. Take the time to answer any questions and address any concerns. Okay, make sure that they're clear with your answers. They understand. Summarize your game plan, right? When you're done. Example. This is what we're gonna do, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm gonna send over my photographer on Tuesday or Wednesday, what works better for you? Okay, so Wednesday, okay, well, I'm gonna send them Wednesday morning. There's a time block that we have to block off. They're not gonna come in, it's an exact time, but it's between 9 and 12. So be expected the photographer to be here at 12, between 9 and 12 on Wednesday. So now you're writing, you have a plan. This is what we're gonna do. So professional photography, they're coming on Wednesday. I'm gonna put up the for sale sign on Friday because that's when we're gonna go live. I should have my flyers by then. And the listing is gonna go live with the MLS, social media, everything, website on Friday. So that's all gonna be ready on Friday. And then on the first Saturday and Sunday, we're gonna hold an open house. Saturday, Sunday between 1 to 4 p.m. Okay, I'm gonna put open house signs, bring, all the traffic, advertise the open house on the MLS and all the websites. So now you have a plan as to what you're gonna do. You're not just gonna sit there and say, okay, I'll reach out to you and, we'll figure it out. No, this is what I'd like to do. I already have a plan in place to sell your house. That just shows you're proactive, right? After the listing presentation, you made it to the listing presentation. Hopefully you won the listing. Congratulations, right? You have the listing now. If you've listened like a friend, handled objections with ease and empathy, and kept your presentation focused firmly on their needs, you're probably holding a signed listing agreement. Hopefully that's the case. But regardless of the outcome, remember to always thank the seller for their time. So when you're finished, whether they signed the listing contract or didn't sign the listing contract, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your time. I hope to be in contact soon. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, be friendly about it.
Yeah.
Don't be a loser about it. Don't be like a sore loser. Like, oh, you don't want to sign now? Like, what? And some people ask you. Hey. So I don't agree with this. It works for some people. It doesn't work for some people. But they'll say, if the seller doesn't want to sign now, is there any question I didn't answer? And I guess that's a good thing. You can do that, right? To me, it's a little pushy, and I don't like when people are pushy with me, so I'm not pushy for them. But you know what? That separates the successful people from me, right? Be pushy and say, so I'm going to retract that and say, maybe you should do this. If they don't want to sign, say, so what's your hesitation, right? Is there a question I didn't answer? Is there, if there is, I would love an opportunity to answer that question.
Yeah.
Or is there something that you expect me to do that I didn't bring up, right? So you want to clarify what's the hesitation. Sometimes they're going to say, oh, I have a few other appointments.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if you have a few other appointments, did I answer all your questions? Yeah. And some people are pushy. They're like, well, if you're happy with everything that I said, you should just sign. Right? I'm not going to do that, but they're going to be like, he forced me to sign this contract. I was scared. But anyway, you should still ask them, is there any reason why you don't want to sign? Did I not answer any questions or address all of your concerns? That way, right? Or maybe you did something wrong during the presentation and you want to make sure you don't make the same mistake the next time. But sometimes they're just going to say, I have 3 other agents that I'm going to interview. So that's why you got to make sure that you blow their socks away with the presentation, answer all the questions, any concerns, listen to what they're saying, because sometimes they're not going to do that. Or sometimes agents are going to come in not prepared and just, I heard there was years ago, there was an agent who was farming in a neighborhood and against one of our agents. And that the seller told our agent that when that guy came through for the listing presentation, he walked in the door and the guy's like, so how much do you think you can sell my house for? Walked around the property, looked at everything. I think we can list it for this much money. And then that was it. He didn't bring any paperwork. He just looked at the property and said, I think, and there's something to be said for that. You're the expert in the area, but show me why you think that. Yeah. Not just because you looked at my house. You can look at my house and think it's worth $10 million, but the market doesn't show that. So you don't want to do that. There's going to be people that are going to go out there and meet with these sellers and do things like that, or not bring any paperwork or whatever it is. So make sure you give a good presentation. Any questions? Okay, let me show you guys. So something else you guys could bring with you is, well, here's the listing agreement, just so you guys know what it looks like and how to fill it out. So the prepare date is today. It's just a reference date, so the date that you prepare the listing agreement. This is between the seller and Coldwell Banker Platinum Properties, broker. And this is on 123 Main Street in the city of Irvine, County of Orange, 92606. You're gonna add the parcel number. You're gonna scroll down. In this section, it asks the listing period, when the beginning date is, beginning and ending date of the listing. This date here is gonna be the date that it's gonna go into the MLS, and you're gonna start advertising and showing the property. Unless you do coming soon or you register the listing, those are other things, but we're not gonna go into that right now. Let's just say, if you have a listing, let's say you're in a listing presentation today, today's the 18th. They're not ready to go live until next Wednesday. I would put next Wednesday's date right here. That's when you're gonna go live. That gives you time, excuse me, gives us the seller time to clean up the house. You can send your photographer out there, take pictures, create the flyers, start entering into the MLS, and then go active on Wednesday next week. So this day would then be next Wednesday would be the beginning date. And then this is when it expires. So you have the listing until that date, and then if it expires, they can list with somebody else, or you can extend the listing, or you can get a new listing with that.
So if the beginning date is next week, it should be signed today at June 18th.
Yes.
I don't need to enter an MLS.
No, so just so you guys know, the beginning date is always the later of the two of the beginning date here
Mhm.
or the signature date. Whichever one's later, that's the beginning date of the listing contract,
Choose the latest one.
the latest one. So if like here it says today, but they don't sign until Saturday, then Saturday is the beginning date.
Mhm.
If they sign today, but this date is July 1st, then July 1st is the beginning date.
So until July 1st, I don't need to enter there.
Correct. Yeah, so that's gonna be the beginning date. Yeah, and then this is the list price, so all you do in zip forms is you enter the price here, and then it writes it out on its own here. And then you're gonna scroll down, and this is where you're gonna enter your commission. You want 3%. And another thing you wanna do is here, you're gonna enter any buyers that you brought to the property after the listing expires. If one of those buyers buys the property after the listing expires, you could still collect a commission up to 90 days
Do you usually,
after.
do you usually fill out the?
Yeah, I like to put 90 days there, yeah. So if for some reason, maybe the buyer wanted to wait until after the listing was expired and then go directly to the seller and then buy it. Well, guess what? I've already shown that property to that buyer, so I have 90 days after the listing expires, that if any buyers that are about to the property buy it, I'm still entitled to the commission.
Hmm.
So leave the 90 days there or enter that 90 days. And then down here, if there's any leased items or anything that's included or excluded from the listing, you can enter it here. If they don't know, or if they remember later on, you can always modify this. So that's not as important right now. What's important is when you enter into the MLS and we enter into contract, that you include or exclude certain things, right? And make sure you write down if there's any solar panels, things like that. And then here, the primary MLS is CRMLS. That's all you have to do there. And that's pretty much it. The rest of it is just, if you're gonna include other forms, things like that. Just reading material that explains everything else. Compensation of broker, it tells them how brokers are compensated. But so the listing agreement comes in a packet of forms. So it comes in a packet with the agency disclosure. And it comes with the listing agreement, which is a few pages. And then the multiple listing service addendum lets them know what the multiple listing service is and how that works and everything. And it comes with, let's see, disclosure and seller consent password. So this is the revocation relationship. So this pretty much tells them about how everybody's paid, pretty much. And how that the listing agent represents the seller, the buyer's agent represents the buyer. And if you're representing the buyer and the seller, then it's dual agency. It just explains to them. And that they consent, that they understand what all that means. Disclosure information advisory, that is letting them know that they have to fill out the disclosures, seller's disclosures at some point. These forms are all in the packet. Worker compensation, this is the one that explains the seller pays the listing agent, the buyer pays the buyer's agent, and that the buyer can ask the seller to pay for their commission as well. How all that works now. And fair housing, okay, information about fair housing and discrimination. So these are all in the packet for the listing agreement, so they have to sign all this. These are all just signature pages. So they read through it and sign it. The only one that you're gonna do anything with is pretty much the listing agreement, where you're gonna enter the property address, the date from and to, and then the price and commission. So that's that. And then here's something else you can use. Give this to the seller checklist to get the home ready to market. And so just a little checklist. They don't have to do all this, but it gives them an idea of what they could do to the property just to make it look better. So mow the lawn, trim the shrubs. Let's see, get rid of any weeds, branches, things like that. Replace damaged screens and shutters. Let's see, make the interior shine, paint the walls, just little things, right? Checklist of things that they could do to make it look better. And then here's a checklist for you as the agent. Once you have a listing, well, you've already done the pre-listing stuff, so you don't have to worry about that. Listing appointment, discuss the clients, you're doing all that. And then the seller's disclosures, complete your agent visual inspection. So all the things that you should be doing during the listing process. So this is pretty helpful as well. So this is the listing management checklist. I'll send this out to you guys. I'll send it out when I send out the recording. But that is it. Any questions? Yes.
When they sign the agency, if they are family trust, so should I ask them to show me the how many owners in their family
Yes,
trust?
I would ask them for a copy of the trust. That's a good question.
Should just give me the copy, or should I just say manufacturer to make sure, oh, this is real?
Yeah, they can give you a copy of it because you're gonna need to send it to escrow and title at some point.
Yeah.
So it's good that they dig it out wherever it's at, right? So hey,
Yeah.
take it out now so that way we have it ready. Because if we go in escrow, they're gonna ask you for it.
In the beginning, they need to sign the together. For example, they say, oh, my husband in China, or my husband in another state. So if he disagreed to sign, so, and then we already begin to work, so maybe
So here's the thing.
Mhm.
If one person signs, you can still put it in the MLS if one person signs.
yeah,
You just can't sell the property
yeah,
without two signatures, two people
Yeah.
signing.
Yeah.
So you can list it, but in the MLS, you have to disclose that there's one signer that hasn't signed the listing agreement yet. So you have to make that clear, but that's under agent remarks, not in the description of the property. And then they can sign it when they come back, right? But if they're out of the country, you can digitally sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you should be fine. I think the problem is like when there's a dispute, like a separation or divorce,
yeah,
where one wants to sign it, the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
You can have one person sign it and list it, and then try to work it out so that eventually the other person signs it. Maybe they find out, hey, we're selling it for all this money. Okay, I'll sign it because I'm getting half of that, or whatever it is. But that's usually when that comes up. Yeah. Oof. Okay, so we will see you guys next week.
Thank you.
thank you.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right.
All right. Thank you.